So I am back and I am really excited to talk about these first 3 episodes. So far, the first one has probably been my favorite, and that might be because of my initial excitement to see the story played out visually. But I think there's something really fun about this scene of Wang Miao opening his door. It's almost like he's welcoming us all into the story, and I really love it. It was at this moment that I thought the show might actually be really faithful to the books. So if it stays my favorite scene of season 1, I wouldn't be surprised. Is it the best scene in the story? Probably not, but I'm very attached to it regardless. I talked more about episode 1 in a previous video, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to episode 2. Now, my favorite part of episode 2 was Ding Yi's billiards metaphor. The interactions between the 2 actors in this scene was really fun. It's something they could have glossed over, but they took the time to really show it. Wang's inquisical mind wants answers, and Ding Yi is ready to lift the veil and show him why everyone is so panicked in the science community. It really shows the terror of the situation. When scientists can no longer receive consistent results and data changes every time they run experiments, the fundamental basis on which they perceive Earth and its laws no longer have any meaning. We are shown how unsettling this discovery is and why Yang Dong killed herself. It explains why Ding Yi is acting like he is. It answers one of the first questions of the series. Why are these scientists killing themselves? And it presents the next question. How did physics become lawless? What changed? It's a fundamental part of the whole story, and it's built upon later in the episode with the shooter and the farmer theory, which I will also talk about. But I want to back up just a little bit because I really enjoyed some of the dialogue coming from Ding Yi, where he's reflecting upon the woman whom he loved, saying, Yang Dong, she was like a star in the sky, which was far, far away from you. Even the light it shed felt cold. It's so sad, but it's also beautiful. Even though she was distant, she was brilliant. And despite whatever was happening between them, he loved her. This little moment of him tossing back the last sip of wine while the colors of the lights shift on his skin was just really nice to watch. It's a line straight from the books, and it's really profound. I really enjoyed this part. The next part I want to address is the shooter and farmer theory, and you guys, it's so cool seeing this visually as opposed to reading it. For me, it made it easier to understand, and I'll avoid anything too science-y, but essentially the theory is all about perception and how personal experiences can be misleading. When people center themselves around their own narrative and self-involvement, they fall into danger of not being able to see the big picture. Wang Miao is slowly becoming more and more entrenched into this mystery, but it hasn't fully hit him yet. The story is a tragic one, and it's about to become even more uncomfortable as I move to episode 3. So this whole episode feels like a day in the life of Wang. It focuses almost solely on him, and it is really difficult to watch knowing what is happening. This was my least favorite of the 3 episodes, but it's only because it's hard to watch this man in full distress. The countdown on the photos have actually moved into his field of vision. It's an episode full of panic, and the way that it was shot actually accentuates it. We have a lot of close camera angles and close shots, and it feels a little bit claustrophobic. The actor that plays Wang Miao did such a great job showing terror. I'd also like to point out how great the acting is from the woman who plays his wife. She looks frightened and concerned, but calm all at once. This is not something easy to do. Seriously, well done. When Wang goes to visit Shen Yufei at her home, I really liked where we see her husband, Wei Chang, and he's in this room covered top to bottom with pages of paper. It was a little bit silly, but it's actually a good introduction to the character because it makes him stand out. Therefore, he's going to be harder to forget when he shows back up. The ending of this episode had a really strong finish. We have Shen Yufei telling Wang to stop his research with nanotechnology. It's a good spot to end the episode on, setting up a little cliffhanger for episode 4. But I want to stop and talk about the frontiers of science for a moment. One of the plot points that is woven throughout all 3 episodes is the questions regarding the secretive organization. Why does the military want Wang Miao to infiltrate it? Who is this woman Shen Yufei? What's her involvement? How do they connect to the bigger story that we're seeing here? I was actually hoping for a little bit more interaction with Shen Yufei and more interaction from the organization. It might be my only critical point so far, but in the meeting of episode 2, there was a little bit of choppy editing. A man has an outburst, then we flip to a scene taking place in the past with no dialogue, then we flip back to Wang Miao exiting the building with Dashi waiting outside, obviously following him. It's not as tight as it could be, but it is a very minor criticism. I'm excited for more, and I just need to tell myself to be patient, but I'm really liking where this is going. With a series this long, I think the slower pace of the episodes is something that needed to happen in the story. There's a lot of science being thrown in, and if the pacing was sped up, I think it would be too easy to miss the important moments. And so often in television, and especially with American shows on streaming services, there's a lot of priority set on making sure the first few episodes are really crammed full of action so viewers don't stop watching. It sometimes feels formulaic and done in a way to attract the biggest audience possible, but it can come at the cost of dumbing down the world building and the character motivations. It makes me applaud Tencent for keeping things slow and steady. They aren't trying to insert action to add theatrics. I think the show excels in its small, intimate moments. And I would rather have 30 episodes where most of the story is included versus 10 episodes where they are trying to cram in the most exciting or shocking bits. Because after all, this is a story about human nature. It's not an action story. Now, I do want to talk about the tone and even just the look of the show. Did anyone else get the feeling of a dark, gritty, vintage crime mystery going on? And this is even accelerated with all of the scenes with Huai Yu and his character Dashi. It breaks up the seriousness a little bit, but it also feels like a nod to olden-timey noir detective tropes. He smokes, he drinks, he's a bit rough around the edges, and despite being surrounded by scientists, he's still one of the smartest people in the room. He wants to be included in the Inner Battle Command Center, but he's not in the circle yet, and he's attached himself to Wang Miao because he knows there is something special about this guy. He's easily my favorite character so far, and the acting in the series is better than I expected. His expression while witnessing Wang Miao standing in the middle of the street during episode 3 was great. It's almost like you can see him internally confirming that Wang Miao is a missing puzzle piece, and he's fighting his intrigue with concern. I also have to give credit to Lu Yi Zhang because he is Wang Miao. The wardrobe and styling department did such a great job here. If you looked up the words 2007 academic, you would see his image, the clothing style, the glasses, the haircut. It's perfect for the time period that it's taking place. His whole look just feels right. So my overall thoughts are pretty positive so far. There's many reasons why I think this show is successful, but the first 3 episodes did a great job of luring people in with a mystery. It sticks really close to the books, and I'm curious to hear from people who haven't read them but are watching the show on why you're watching it. It's honestly a series that many people didn't even think could be adapted, so I'm overlooking the small stuff here. Sure, the CGI isn't in the same ballpark as the Avengers, but that's okay. Goofy billiard balls flying into outer space just feels cute and charming at this point. Episodes 1 through 3 felt lovingly created, and I think that's the reason so many people are happy with it. Adaptations are hard. Screenwriting is hard. Tencent is telling Shushen Liu's story, and I think book fans are really enjoying it. Right now, Three Body is currently ranked at 8.6 on IMDb, and I'm really curious to see how that changes. I'm going to be grouping up episodes together for reviews because I can't do one a day. So if you would like to see more, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I will see you back with the next 3 episodes. And thanks for watching.